What is keyword mapping? Most people use the phrase keyword mapping in reference to organization on your website, where you assign certain keywords to different pages and organize it that way. But I'm here to introduce that is outdated. In today's world, keyword mapping is about strategy, not just structure. It's about building a roadmap of every single question or keyword that you want to own, that you want to dominate on YouTube, Google, and ChatGPT. It's about being strategic and making sure that you show up as the trusted source, as the answer. So in this episode, I'll show you how keyword mapping has changed and how to use it to dominate your niche. Let's dive right in. So let's start out by talking about what keyword mapping used to mean and why it's obsolete. So this was all about traditional website SEO. You would take different pages of your website and assign keywords to them, and it made sure that there wasn't internal competition. Because if you wanted one page to rank for this, another page you didn't want to compete with that same thing. So this was built for static websites structured around all the metadata, and you could be really strategic with this. Like you could have broad topic clustering, they would call it, where all of the subtopics would be grouped here and all the subtopics for this broad topic would be linked here. So the goal was structure and visibility on a specific website. Here's why this is completely obsolete. Google no longer indexes websites. So that type of SEO was built for building website authority, but now because it doesn't index websites anymore, that plan is kind of obsolete. But now I'm going to teach you a new way where you, as an expert, can be positioned as the authority. So keyword mapping today, let's talk about your authority blueprint. Today it's about identifying every single question that your target audience is searching for online. Think about the way that you use the internet, or especially your dream clients. What tools do they use? They're going to Google still. Google's still the #1 website. They're going to YouTube search and asking questions. They're going to ChatGPT and asking questions and having conversations with that AI tool. So instead of mapping out pages on your website, map out these questions, group them into categories, figure out what are they searching for, and on the different topics, which grouping of these questions is most valuable to you, determined by, these are definitely questions asked by my dream clients. They need help right now, and the people that have these needs right now are very likely to also need my services. Now, this is different from any social media marketing campaign that you've done, because you can't really market by posting content on social media. What you're hoping for there is for something to go viral, but it's not attracting people who need you. It's not pulling in people through search, because social media content is not indexed by topic. But when you map out your content by topic, by the questions that people are asking, and you put it on YouTube, it'll be indexed on YouTube search, it'll be indexed on Google search, it'll be indexed by ChatGPT and other AI tools. All right, let me show you how I create a spreadsheet to track this and to map this out. So the first few columns here are where I put the branches, and I'll show you an example where this is filled out, but this is just my template where I start. This column right here is where I put the very specific questions. So this is the branch, or this is the category or grouping, and then these are all the questions or all the leaf titles within that group. Now, the data that is most important to me is search volume. So I'm going to put that there and I'll show that to you. When we film that content, I'll put the film date there, I'll put the launch date there, but then we need to really track the ranking. Now, in the beginning, there's going to be a lot of no's, right? So when you search for all of your different questions, you're not going to be showing up in the ranking on YouTube search yet. But after you launch these videos and you come back and check, starting means that you're going to start to have ranking in the top 20 results. And a yes means that you're going to be ranking in the top 3. People don't have to scroll to find you anymore. So take a look at this example. This is from my client, Noelle Randall. And on February 10th of 2024, you'll see that she had 2 yeses. She had a few startings and she had a lot of no's, but you also see the filming date. And by April 18th, so just 2 months later, we had turned those 2 yeses into 8. A month later, even more. By July 3rd, even more. So here's an example in the parenting space. Another thing that I do when I create a spreadsheet like this is I create a score. So this out of 32 number, it just counts up how many titles do I have on this branch. So there's 32. And I give a yes a score of 1, and I give a starting a score of 0.25. So if you add up all those yeses and startings, that adds up to 12. Okay, that was on September 6th. But you'll notice that these videos were filmed in October, one of them there in November, one in January. Well, by October 16th, the score had gone up a little bit, but by November 18th, it jumped up to 22. Here's another quick example. We just filmed 5 videos on December 7th, and that allowed us to change our score from 1.5 up to 6. Or here's an example from Jason Schroeder. He's a construction consultant. We see on October 15th of 24, he had a score of 3, went up to 8, 11, 18, and then a score of 21 out of 21. We came back a couple months later and checked, still 21 out of 21. So the more questions like this that you can map out and then film, the faster that those no's will turn to yeses, the faster you can dominate an entire branch. You don't have to fear internal competition anymore. They used to call it cannibalization for some reason. But on YouTube, the more topics you cover on a certain topic, the more likely you are to dominate it. Okay, now there's a caveat. You have to have real expertise. The information you share in these videos can't be regurgitated from other people's expertise. It has to be your expertise, right? So you are an authority. You are an expert in a certain subject matter. I was talking to somebody the other day. He's a realtor in North Carolina, Charlotte specifically. And he mistakenly followed some advice to become a national YouTube channel. So he was talking about real estate in Austin, Texas, but he didn't know anything about Austin. So he just had to Google it and ChatGPT it. And then he would script his videos and he would just regurgitate it. That content did not do very well. His channel, which was doing well, plateaued and actually declined. The goal is not for you to be viral. The goal is for you to be seen as an authority in the places where you really are a true authority. Now, when you answer the first question in your niche, YouTube and ChatGPT, guess what they're going to do? They're going to test your video. So people are going to be typing in their questions or their research. It's going to serve up your video to them, and it's going to see what happens. Did they like it? Did they watch 30 seconds and leave? Or was it actually what they were searching for? Did they watch the whole video? Did they rewind parts of it? Did they comment on it? Did they share it with other people? You don't have to stress about those things. You just have to focus on giving them really valuable content. Now, not everyone's going to like your video. Some people are going to jet really quick, but that's not your target audience. As long as your dream clients, the people who you speak to, if those people find your video and they watch it all the way to the end, then YouTube will stop showing it to the type of people that leave and will continue showing it to the people that stick around. When you map your keywords this way, group them into branches, figure out where your yeses and nos are, it gives you perfect clarity on where you could focus next. You might have 2 yeses out of 30 and realize, okay, I've got a little bit of traction there, so if I go all in on this branch, I can dominate it. You might have another branch where you filmed, say, 8 different videos, but you're still at 100% no. For now, you might want to skip that branch, or you need to dig deeper and to find out why. Do an analysis of who is ranking at the top and why your videos aren't. When you map this out and do your research first, before you hit record on the camera, you can map out your path to success. It's not about going viral. It's not about luck. You can predict and know exactly what's going to happen and how to do it. Now, if you want to see how to take this one step further and you can measure whether this keyword research or keyword mapping is actually working for you, I recommend watching my episode, What is a Good Search Visibility Score? I'll show you how I test and track my rankings across hundreds and hundreds of leaf titles. And I'll show you other ways of how you can actually monitor real growth even just after a couple months. So go watch that episode next.